Okay, Mail. So as I was saying, welcome to the online participants, and we have Ashley Winkle. She's also with T-Call, and Gareth here. He'll be assisting us with the mic running. Um, so anytime you're going to comment, share out, please just wait for the mic so that our participants online can hear us. But they also work for T-Call as well. So they'll be assisting me throughout this session today. And are you seeing are you seeing the background? Okay. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and get started. I see you've got 12 participants in here. Please continue to join as you come in, or if not, feel free to participate through the chat all throughout as well. Yes. For the Wi-Fi? Yes. Oh, you got it? Oh, that's all right. Yes, so you'll be able to follow along on your device as well. So let's get started. So first thing, I told you just a little bit about myself. So I just like to know who's here with us today. What is your position, title, or main role? Because I know many of us, we wear multiple hats. But what is your main role if you're a multiple hat wearer? Share your response. Yes. Okay. That was happening yesterday. Yes, yes. No, the lagging was happening yesterday as well, though. Mhm. All right. So we have instructors, the associate director, instructors, coordinator, principal. Okay. Uh, testing coordinator, digital skills coordinator. Wow, I like that. Admin assistant, statewide digital literacy coordinator, and a tutor. Very nice. So various roles within our programs. Okay, let's go to the next question. Or some students are still answering. I'll give you another second if you want to pop a response in there. Good morning. Welcome, welcome. Okay, we'll go to the next question. On a scale of 1 to 5, how much does your daily role currently impact or support student digital skill building? So, in your role, on a scale from 1 to 5, how much does your role impact the student digital skill building? And there's no judgment here. And in the Zoom, if you can't get into the Wayground, please feel free to put your number in the chat or any of your responses in the chat. No, that's a good one. Let me touch that off. Is that better? Okay. Mm-hmm. It is. Full screen. Still have a few people attempting their answer. We'll give them a moment to get it in. Okay, and we'll go ahead and end this question. Okay, and our results. So we have, okay, nobody said not at all. A couple have said two. And okay, so we're pretty evenly spread across a 2 to 5. Very interesting. All right, let's move to the next one. Okay, so thinking about your programs, what are some non-instructional positions or roles in your program? And just put a comma to separate them. You can list them, several, a couple, however you like. But what are some non-instructional roles or titles in your program? And they'll be different because, all of our programs may be called different things, a different title. So that's important. So what are non-instructor positions, roles, titles in your program?
We've got some answers in the chat. Navigator, coach, and advisor. I will also get the link to the playground in the chat in case you're late.
Yes. Okay. Thank you. So navigator, coach, advisor, IT, HR, data and assistant, academic assistance, program manager, director. I'll give you a few more moments. I see a couple people still typing.
Oh, gosh, enter one names.
Yeah. Yeah.
We've also got supervisor, administrator, success coach, support.
Yes. I like those. As we hear some of these titles, some of them actually may be the same position if they were in your program. But again, I mentioned, we call them different things across our different programs. I think somebody said they were the principal of the adult learning program. Is that the same as the director for the adult learning program? That same kind of thing. So, okay. So we've identified some of those non-instructor roles. Employment advisor, also from the chat, Taja says employment advisor, intake specialist, digital navigator. I like hearing that. Career education case manager, enrollment assessment coordinators, and of course, directors. Yes. Yes. Very good. Thank you for all participating. So what we're going to do today is we're going to explore how some of these non-instructional roles play a part in building the digital skills of the students. And then we'll look at some current practices and challenges, and then we'll review some resources and actions. So a lot packed in our brief time together this morning. Just taking it back a little bit, one of the things that I noticed in our programs was that the weight of building the digital skills, building the digital literacy of our students tends to fall heavily on instructors. Even at conferences and sessions, you'll see a lot of digital literacy, sessions geared at instructors, what to do to implement these things in your classrooms, tools to use with your students in your classrooms. But our instructors are also focused on teaching that academic content. And outside of their teaching role, many times our instructors become more than just an instructor to our students. So they bear a lot of weight with our students. And so putting all of the weight on them to build the digital literacy, build the digital resilience of our students is a lot. And it all flows throughout our program. And so that's really what, excuse me, good morning, we're going to look at today. So, can we agree at least that it's not only the instructor's role to build digital skills? It's a head nod. We can agree. We can agree. Let me know in the chat if we can agree with that. So when it comes to building the digital skills, literacy, and the resilience of our students, it takes the intentional design and a unified effort of the program to make that happen. Yes, yes. Thank you. Yes, I got the agreement in the chat. So we're all on the same page with that. That's great. So what do we take in our terms of our first step? So first, we need to identify the support that's needed from the different roles and then target those pain points in our program. So we need to identify the needs of our students in terms of their digital literacy needs or where they're struggling. So back to our survey or our interaction here, my voice here. Where do digital skills show up in your daily interactions with students? And again, it won't let you submit multiple times, so you can list them, put a comma or not, just list them. It's very informal. But where do digital literacy skills show up in your daily interactions with students? Starting from the moment that they say, I'm going to enroll in your program, where are you seeing that they need to have digital literacy skills? Use them. I still see typing. Please go ahead, continue submitting your responses. So starting here, we say trouble with logging into accounts. They have difficulty reading and responding to emails. So immediately, if they're receiving emails from your program about registration, enrollment, making an appointment, things like that, difficulty there, difficulty managing the email and using platforms like Canvas. Yeah, work assignments, signing into apps, email again, passwords. Oh, yes. If they've had to set up an account and remembering that password, absolutely. Messaging and let's say texting teachers. Okay, messaging and texting. Registration. So if it's an online registration form, they're having some issues. I'm taking it as that. Okay, using the learning management system. Again, homework, completing assignments, digital registrations. Yes, trying to access digital onboarding information, retrieving an email, they're open, yes. But they do share that they need digital literacy. That's nice. Text, the literal enrollment for, yes, and the pre-testing. Yes, that's another one. Communication through the email, login credentials, and online applications. Yeah, so we're already seeing some common themes of where they have digital skills that they need to interact with your programs immediately from registration, enrollment, getting the emails about maybe the steps or confirming the steps that they need to take, responding to those emails automatically. They're having some hurdles in dealing with that. I'm going to move to the next slide. Okay, so I'm going to give you a moment now that we've identified, okay, we know some of the points where we already have to implement, our students already have to use digital skills within our program or throughout. Pair up someone near you, pair and share, and think about the digital skills in their daily routine and then what challenges they face in doing those. So you already mentioned maybe a couple of challenges. So you said they need to fill out enrollment forms, they need to take assessments, they need to open emails. Now talk about the challenges that they face, where do they struggle, and being very specific in those struggles. So I'll give you a few minutes to pair up and discuss with the neighbor some of those digital literacy tasks from the daily routines and their challenges. And yes, thank you. And online friends, please share in the chat. We'll take 2 more minutes. One more minute to wrap up your conversations. One more minute. Thirty more seconds. In 3, 2, 1. All right, let's come back together. There's such great discussion. Let's share out. Okay, so who would like to share, start off sharing maybe what you discussed and specific challenges that you discussed in your group with your partner? No, there's lots of chatter. Yeah. Oh, sorry. I don't mind running it. Oh, yes.
Um, So I'm an ESL instructor, and my partner here is a digital career CCN, right, which is kind of amazing. Uh, we talked about how we deal with populations who often have never used a computer, maybe like never interacted with one. Um, so the challenges are very basic, right? Just learning how to left click, right click, how to capitalize letters, just the basic basics. Um, and some students they just need a little help logging in. So it's a very diverse range of literacy skills. She said that she rotates visiting classes and helping specifically with those skills. For me, it's just integrated. I'm just helping them one on one. But I think this is an awesome setup. Thanks.
Um, I'm Kathy, and I'm from the Literacy Alliance here in Fort Wayne, Indiana, not the one in Florida. People get confused all the time, same time. My official title is digital navigator, but I'm also a classroom teacher now for at least 3 more months. So I do a little bit of everything, and I'm also site coordinator, so I oversee 2 sites in rural communities. What I try to do is, when I first was brought in, I was brought in to be the digital navigator. Everything else just got piled on. We set up a program where I would come every other week with a specific lesson or unit. Like right now, we're working on how to do job interviews virtually, how to dress, what to look at the camera. And we're also doing research on how to find jobs online, how to customize them to where you are, and also customize them to where you're planning on being when you get your GED. And we have 2 very rural communities in Bluffton and Decatur where we have Amish and Mennonite. And that's what we were talking about, how sometimes I have students who have no technology except what they use in class. So it seems to me that every time I'm starting from scratch with some of them because they didn't have a chance to practice. So I try to start off with the bare minimum, and I always apologize to ones who know. I said, we're going to get to where you are, but I don't know where everyone's at. So we're going to start here and we're going to go there. And one of the biggest problems I see, even with the ones who know computers, they're all on Chromebooks. I call them Chrome fingers where they touch everything. And I'm like, no, 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 we're using laptops. So please, let's do it this way. And and that can be a real frustration on just that, even if they know how to use the technology.
I'm going to come back to you again later, Kathy. Will you run it, Gareth? I'm going to type some of the things they're saying.
Talking about.
My name is Denzel, and one of the things that came up in our conversation is very similar, how we have low or introductory skills for computers. And the concept of logins crops up a lot, where you have different logins or pages or assignments or all these different sort of things that we have to do. So remembering usernames and passwords especially is a really big, at least for a couple of us. So we're running into the same situations that we were.
Passwords is one of those that just keeps cropping up.
My name is Terry Beth, and I'm from Oklahoma. And my partner here, I want to deal with GED students and one problems that she has run into, and then I have run into also. That these people who are older, don't have keyboard skills. And she uses a program called the English Typing Board that help build those keyboard skills for those people who don't use my writer, and all the computers, but those people who are really challenged. This sounds like a game changer for me.
What was the name of it? Leaders online typing.
Peter's online typing.
If you have your hand raised, can you put it in the chat in the Hoover app?
Okay, we, in the chat, of course, I said the same thing you guys already said, keyboarding is always my number one. However, how about those emails? As they said, new learners, their inboxes are always full, so they have to check their emails, or they have to direct them. Oh, knowing how to use Zoom for online classes, yeah, especially in the beginning.
Okay, I didn't get them all, but I got quite a few. Very good. All right, let's move on. And if you have a question, like I said, please put it in the Hoover chat app, please. Yes.
So another time in growth.
So we use typing.com, it's free, but if you get a subscription, like I need to buy like 75 seats for the whole year. I can rotate seats in and out, and it's like $200. So the big boss loves me because the cheap praise, because I'm thinking about typing.com, it's here in Indiana, for writing contest, to get no education. So I can put a prompt into typing.com. Like when they're practicing, they're typing and practicing the essay they're gonna turn in for the writing contest. And then I can share that with their actual classroom teacher, who'll sit down with them and go over it, just like if they were gonna do a rare essay. But it's all typing, it's a lot easier to read, but it's a lot easier to go back and read. So I just suggest typing that.
That's another good one.
You use typing.
I need that.
Yeah. I didn't realize you could actually put on prompts, but we can also use typing club. Although I've only ever used the free version of that from here typing.
Mm-hmm.
So that's good that you can actually put in.
Yeah.
Have a lot more freedoms. If you go to the account, you have a lot more freedoms, so like I said, it's a real minimum cost compared to some of the other stuff we pay for, that is digital based, whatever, so typing.com is like no brainer, I get that paid anytime, like any don't.
You mentioned that you do a writing contest. I'm kind of curious, what kind of prize do you have for this contest?
Okay. Since it's a statewide contest here in Indiana, last year I had a student who won third place, got $100 gift card. We have students who are runner-ups. Last year I had like 3 of the 4 runner-ups from our program, and they just bring them down here. It's just nice things come down. We take them out to lunch. They get a certificate. It's on the news. They get a tour of the Capitol. And locally, we also pick winners from our classes. So I teach like 7 classes, and there may be a winner in the one of the ELL classes, and then a winner in each class. So we can cover more. Locally, we get donors donate everything from a gift basket to movie tickets to restaurants, things. I know the winner of the statewide contest, if something's published, they get to come out and do talks, and it's a pretty big prestigious kind of thing. We had one winner before I started, and everyone shoots for to get another. That's pretty prestigious thing.
Even that $100 is going to be a significant contribution towards having that.
You've also got, I believe it's Taja. Sorry if I'm saying your name wrong. Coming in for testing for ESL students, many do not know which one to work. Even if I write it on the board, I usually have to walk around to make sure students are on the right section.
So not knowing how to navigate the programs, very specific. And that's what we need. So we need to identify those pain points and being very specific. And that's exactly what you guys were doing. And we'll come back to that here in just a moment. So let's look at some scenarios and some role examples. So firstly, starting from the bottom of our pyramid of support, our leadership. regularly meeting and setting goals to evaluate effectiveness of digital literacy integration in the program. I know many times as leadership, we are, or they can be very focused on other numbers, other priorities, and of course, getting graduates and getting gains and things like that as they should be. But those digital skills are important. And without that support and without it being intentionally embedded and monitored and advocated for by leadership, sometimes it doesn't get pushed to the forefront by everyone, especially when it comes to the classroom. So we want to review roles, review the processes and the supports that are in place and that are available to staff and students. So again, you have your leadership supporting and building those bridges and making those additional connections to help support the program. And then, of course, as you just did, reviewing the program for pain points. If we're bottlenecking at certain areas because of some digital divide, some digital skill that is lacking, or the students are having some hurdle, the program leadership also needs to be aware and identify those pain points for the students and for staff as well. So let's look at a challenge. Whose role is it? So if students are enrolling in the program and they wanted to take the pre-assessment remotely, but they were often unable to complete testing because of technology and device issues. So this issue was addressed by, instead of waiting until the time of the testing appointment, beforehand, providing students with instructions, video instructions to go along with it to help them complete any systems checks or requirements prior to their testing appointment so that they can be prepared and not miss it. So whose role is it to do that? In your program, or whose idea would that be, do you think, for that role to be? Thank you, Karen.
Oh, and when we bring in students for assessments, the first assessment, we have two administrative staff. One is assigned to our ELL program and one assigned to our graduate program. And they will set up the appointments, and then to make it so it's not heavy on everyone, we have what we call site coordinators. We go each location, I'm site coordinator for 2 sites. We have one who's site coordinator for 3. So we take turns, and then there's a couple of other staff members because we have staff members who are now in different roles who used to be site coordinators. So we bring them in. Our program, we make it totally free for students from start to finish. We even are our own testing lab. So they test with us. So it's not that hard for us to have one of the administrators to go help with something, or I'm in the office up until around noon every day, and I go out to sites so they can grab me. But we actually have a very specific way to deal with students when we start them. And also when we're testing on laptops and Chromebooks, so 2 iPads, it's easier for them to navigate that way. We didn't have so many students who couldn't finish next morning tests.
Yes, thank you. Carol, right? Kathy, I'm sorry, Kathy. Kathy, yes. Anybody else? Who? Oh, go ahead, Gareth.
Well, some cases, this office of student success, there was a room where there were at least 2 or 3 people who would make appointments with students who were going to be doing something like this. And they would be brought in to kind of do a dry run and practice some things so they could do things on their own.
Mm-hmm. Yes, yes. It's that forethought. Yeah. So anybody else in your program, whose role would this be in your program if they're not already doing it, or if they are doing it? Or could it be? If you don't have a digital navigator like Kathy, or who did you say Gareth was doing it?
Student success.
A student success. Who else's role could it be? Yes, go ahead. Oh, wait for the mic. Sorry. Thank you.
South Mississippi. So usually we don't do remote testing,
Mhm.
but for all of our testing, the intake specialist does it. It's like, you guys, we have a one for our HSC prep, and then we have one for ELL. So usually they'll call them in for an appointment ahead of time so that they can get oriented with the place, feel, because the emotional comfort is also important for the test experience before the test, before their intake.
Absolutely.
And
Yes.
she has, our intake specialist has them sit down at the computer. She helps them fill in their paperwork. Unless they don't need the help, but usually they need some help, and helps them feel comfortable with the computer before they even come into class.
Yes.
That's what we do.
Yes. Good. Okay. Let's look at another example. So here's the challenge. Students are enrolled in an online and flex HSE class. They were not using the distance learning platform. I think somebody else had that challenge earlier. And they had trouble accessing GED.com, lost passwords. I think we talked about that too. Websites and login information was contributing to attrition. So I'll read this because it's a lot of, not read it, but I'll paraphrase it because it's a lot of text. So what was done, and this is the actual example, is that the students, the program, the HSC program was reformatted so that there was a onboarding week for students before they actually got into the class. And during that week, it was focused on helping the students get into get into Essential Ed, making sure they could log in, making sure that they understood the details of the GED test, because many of our students don't know about the GED test and what it entails, things like that. But beyond that, setting up their GED.com account, making sure that they can get into that account, having them take an actual practice test again, so they knew how to take a practice test when they would then be released to be on their own and be attending classes remotely or in a flex situation, how they chose to attend the class. So even though there was an open enrollment HSE class, these onboarding weeks were pre-scheduled, so that way the program specialist could accommodate facilitating those onboardings, which took some pressure off of the instructor who was trying to bear this load, right? So again, taking it outside of the program specialist, that was the title in this particular example, whose role would that be maybe in your program, or could it be in your program? Do you have a role that could support helping students in these capacities? These are some of the challenges that we mentioned. Pass. Go for it, Kathy. No. Mhm. Mhm.
We had to exit her for not coming to class, and the online program exit her for not getting them. So for us, distance learning is our homework. We're supposed to do distance learning throughout the week, or like today, we several of us are here, so our classes are not code. It's distance learning day, so we
Yeah.
expect to see 3 hours of work to get back.
Yeah.
But what we do know, when I go to all the classes, so all the students on the university, and I make sure they all have my text number, so they'll text me, Miss Kathy, anyone? And I can fix it, or I can go into any program. We also, we do onboarding a little differently. They come in as a group and they take the test. We're a rolling application.
Mhm.
So we only have one new student a week, or maybe the next week we have five. It just depends on how it falls. So our teachers and our, like I said, we have a site coordinator. So the teacher may take a break while we have our class doing what's called independent study, and we one-on-one with the new student, and so does our site coordinator. So I have one teacher who likes to set them up on Aztec, our additional learning program.
Yes.
And she likes to pick and choose from the test. I have other teachers, if I kind of put them on Aztec for me, it'll shake out later. So either the teacher or the site coordinator sits down with them. We also have a rule about passwords, even the GD. We set up the account and we assign passwords, but we keep a list. And our passwords are only done in a specific format.
Yes.
So someone calls me and say, I don't have my password for this, and I know in that password, we did first few letters of first name, underscore first few letters of last name, and whatever number we assigned for that particular program.
Yes.
I could do that when someplace like here, I don't have to think about it. Say, hey, try this. It doesn't work, let me know, and I'll put it back in.
Yes.
And luckily, I can do most things on my phone. Depending on how more, it's like I do this.
Yes. Yes, we talked about that too before, that is a good strategy for managing passwords, is to kind of set up that template. You know, remind me, Jose, like what you said, something like universal, weren't you in there? Universal, then personal. Oh, there you go.
And be something unique to the person, like a part of their last name, maybe the first four letters, and maybe something like their birthday.
Yes, yes. There's someone behind you, Gareth. Thank you.
You know, you have the exact same password. So that they, and then we have a spreadsheet on Teams so that if that student transfers to someone else's class, then it's all on that spreadsheet and they can all see their login information.
Yes, nice. And one more.
That's
Oh,
what we were doing at our program. And we set them up something like Essential Web or Asset, and there was one password that we would give you when you started that program. You were free to change it to whatever you wanted. Just know that if you came to us and said, I forgot my password, we were resetting it to the default, and then you could do what you wanted.
yes, yes. One more.
I would just, in listening to you, I would urge us to be cautious about using personal information as part of passwords. You know, it should be unique, but not, for example, like a birthday.
Right, right. Yes, yeah, yeah.
But we use, we're Gadsden State Community College, we use all that GSCC in their year of the, so that we're not doing the actual birthday.
Mhm. Yeah,
It does. I would say completely clear, but that's uncautious.
yeah.
Right. No,
Out of,
and we did used to do that as a student, or having something daily.
because they can remember the year. Yeah. I mean, it's out of caution, but as the students prefer how it works. Yes. Thank you, Dr. Rose.
That's not good. So, it's a better idea to have a formula, what a formula is supposed to be. And that way you use formula to help them reset, but having a spreadsheet, that's really happens. And that makes me nervous. I used to do the same thing, that's what makes me nervous about that.
From experience.
It was all in Excel spreadsheets. So ours was inside Teams, but Teams, that Excel spreadsheet is connected to another place. It's not just a Teams.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, so it can get hacked. And actually, they tell me Microsoft is safer. I have never had a Google hack. I've had a Microsoft hack twice. Be very careful saying anything like that where the password is fitting in something where there's no build PII involved. I don't care. I read that list because it's just their name and figure you know how to live here. But if it's got any other like gp.com, I have not seen the password. They got a security number, they birth, or they get disability, accommodations, all that stuff. Just be mindful of that the hackers are getting better and we be careful about where we store these to make sure that we're not putting our students.
Yeah. I think that brings us to a good point about, which we'll touch in just a moment, about really teaching our students the skill of managing their passwords. Because in that case, we're acting as, like I use Google as my password kind of management. If I forget my password, I go into my Google account, or on my iPhone, it has your passwords, stored. Are we teaching our students those skills, so that they know how to manage their passwords? Because then you are essentially functioning as their password, manager. But it's a skill that they need, because once they're beyond your class, they can't always call you and say, hey, can you, look it up, or can you, open your spreadsheet for me? And that's what we want to move to. Yes.
And so one of the first aspects that we use is about how to do usernames and passwords and come up with crazy sentences that no one code. And we also look for GED testing, like we have a secure server, so that helps a lot. But one thing I teach the student is don't put anything, even a password or a username, that is going to identify you. So that's why we do the 3 letters and a number. Unless you're looking for a specific student, their first name and last name specifically, or sometimes I use a middle name. It just depends on,
Yes.
the way the name, if I got too many S or SARs, I switched to something else.
Yes.
Get to or whatever. But we do teach cyber safety
Mm-hmm.
throughout the year. And what I did was I incorporated it to everything we had to do. So when they first set up their online accounts and we're doing passwords, I teach them about cyber safety and passwords. Where we've done how not to get scammed and how to save documents that are safe and how to use usernames.
Yes.
Also teach resume writing and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And even when I teach resume writing, I have them in class only put their name, all the personal information I tell them to add, and then they're going to actually use it, send out. So it's not even saved on our stuff. It'll be saved to their stuff that I have to email to.
Yeah. Very good.
Um,
Yes.
I have a problem. Audience online being able to hear when we're using this mic. So I'm not sure if I need a clarification, but you may need to kind of summarize what she just said.
Summarize. So they can hear me. They can hear me okay on this mic?
But might ask them.
Okay. Let me know if you can hear me clearly, and then I can run this mic from,
My close to the face, but it really registers.
or let me know if you can hear Gareth clearly.
She's just flavor on the whole thing.
Yes.
GED students who actually have accommodations. I don't know if you've ever looked at the GED accommodation section. But it makes me want something special in the beginning.
But the whole fact that you have to go ahead and it's a separate login. Okay. So they're going to have to, if it's a student who has accommodations, there's their standard GED login. And then underneath that whole framework, if you click accommodations, it takes you to a whole nother side. You have to set up a whole different website, different set of email and password. You can't ever mix the two. And they're two different phone numbers to get to troubleshoot anything. So I think that sometimes students may not, if they end up using the GED to get accommodations, that's a whole nother level of uniqueness that I cannot use to explain right now. But that is something that you're going to have to look out for also.
Can't help but feel frustrated that the people that need assistance to overcome barriers are being presented with another barrier.
Another barrier. Yes.
It's now on.
And so that's now become your gifted job to help people through this because of that extra barrier.
Okay. One more. Yes.
It's really quick. So the discussion about passwords has popped up, and a resource to use if you want to continue teaching beyond just the moment and say,
Mhm.
hey, when you make your own passwords, make sure they're secure. There's a website called it's Password Monster, but you can just search how secure is your password. And we've used this in class to have people actually put in their password, and it will tell you how long it would take to essentially hack that password, if you will, or for somebody to figure it out.
Classroom. Oh, password monster. Password monster.
Yeah, there's different ways to attack a password. Is it using something like a dictionary attack, or is it using a brute force method where it's just running through all of the possible combinations?
Mhm.
Okay. Yeah, it's always fun when you're going to different websites. If you use the same password on different websites, which some of us do, whether we're supposed to or not, it's always interesting to see what websites say, oh, that's a strong password, and other ones are like, no, it's not.
Not. That's true. Thank you. Ashley, can you advance me, please? Okay, just for the sake of time, we'll move past these because I think you guys are kind of getting the idea is that you're identifying those very specific challenges in your programs and then coming up with those targeted responses to those challenges and identifying the role and who would be part of that response in terms of that. So if you go to the next one, please. So in this case, we're looking at some support strategies, which I think you guys have mentioned a couple of them already, but providing students with lists of resources and training opportunities and making referrals to community um, resources and partners as you have necessary. And so again, who would be responsible, thinking about to yourself, who would be responsible in your program for creating and or collaborating on that list and making sure that it stays current, because we know how resources can change and go away, or new ones can pop up. So who would be responsible for maintaining that? And yet everyone in your program needs to know about that list of resources, not just the instructor, but everyone that the student comes in contact with, and they have to demonstrate or have those digital skill troubles, and then they can get those referrals or they can get that list of support resources that they need. Next slide, please. And another strategy, one specific to Texas, is that we have a distance education call center, and it provides technical support to students with their distance learning platforms and other technical issues they may have regarding testing and things like that. And that may not be something that you have in your state or can have in your state, but are there elements of that that you could implement within your program or connect to community partners, volunteers, to have some sort of part of that where your students can have a call-in support when they need help, maybe outside of class time, or maybe you have some open hours for technical support, things like that, things to think about in support strategy and who you could have within your program to support that effort. Next one, please. Thank you. Okay, so here's your turn. This QR code is going to take you to a Padlet, and I'll give you about 5 or 6 minutes to get back with your partner. You got it. Okay, thank you, Ashley. No, thank you. And so that you can discuss those potential solutions and to those challenges that we discussed earlier. So earlier when you were with your partner, you talked specifically about challenges that you're experiencing in your programs. So what potential solutions, if you could have it go your way, would you come up with to address those problems for those students or those hurdles for those students? And what roles in your program would support you or would have a role in supporting that? And so you'll add that to the Padlet. And you'll see there's some columns there. There's no group number. Just add them to any of the columns. I was putting them under the challenges under there, but I don't know that they went under the column. So just get back with your partner, and I'm going to give you 5 more minutes to talk about those solutions, potential solutions to those challenges that you specifically identified earlier in your programs, and post them to the Padlet. We have about 2 more minutes. Don't forget to share what you're discussing, share your solution to the Padlet. Yes. We'll take about 1 more minute. Wrap up conversations, post your thoughts to the Padlet. 30 more seconds. All right, we'll come back together in 3, 2, 1. All right, let's come back together. And would you mind scrolling on my Padlet for me? I see we have a post on the Padlet, and their barrier was tech buy-in. So they're going to say their solution is to develop the buy-in by spending time with the students to make sure that the student understands that they personally care about them and want them to succeed and want them to reciprocate a similar amount of effort in the tool. Yeah. People don't care until they know you care. Yes. Yes. And she has a response that says the first step in the problem solving is having a positive mindset. Yes. Good.
My partner had a fun allegory
Yeah.
or analogy that I wanted to mention. If the student is a horse in a race, then the teacher has to be the jockey and give them, put some blinders on them so that they're focused on their task.
Uh-huh.
Remove some of those distractions,
Uh-huh.
and then maybe occasionally give them a little bit of a whip.
A little. Good analogy. Good analogy. Very good. So really the point of this again was, and I could hear you guys having good discussions, is you have to identify those pain points. You have to identify those hurdles with the students and being very specific and intentional about building in those solutions, which involves all of the staff of your program. So earlier in this session, I took a poll and I said, well, where do you, in terms of your role, where do you rate yourself on 1 to 5 and your impact on the students, building their digital literacy skills? And we had some that were like 2, some 3, some 4. And the idea is that you want to move yourself, whatever your role is, you want to move your needle up. right? So what steps can you take specifically in your role to help move that needle, to help you become more involved in that, and then others in your program as well? Because it takes, again, the entire program to build those digital literacy skills in a unified effort, So sometimes I know in programs we might have those strong tech teachers or those strong tech people that we go to all the time. But the idea is that we have capacity across the board. Even though as staff we have varying levels of tech skills, we want to be building that capacity across the board. So next, oh, can you take me back to Wayground, and next slide, please. So let's talk about some resources that you can help build that, work that. So this is one resource, and this is National Digital, thank you, Inclusion Alliance. I'm going to get all my acronyms wrong today. And they have the Digital Navigator Program Toolkit. And that's why I said, Kathy, I was going to come back to you later, because I have this feeling that you're very familiar somehow with this, this model, because everything that you're saying, literally the way that you are providing supports to your program and to the classes and the things you're doing is a model taken from this toolkit. It's 132 pages. It is very detailed, and it will take you from beginning to end if your program is interested in designing a program, a digital navigator program to support your students, where you can have multiple Kathys in your program. And those are digital navigators. That's your director, that's your assistant director, that's your testing coordinator, that's your proctors. I mean, they can all be digital navigators supporting this same unified effort with a taking a small role in that. Not that they have to take it on themselves. Next slide, please. Resources that you can share with students. So again, we talked about building that resource list for students. North Star Digital Literacy Assessment, if you're not familiar with that, is a great tool to assess the digital literacy skills of the students coming into your programs. If you pay for the seats, which are typically not too expensive, you also get some curriculum and lessons that can assist you in teaching the skills that the students are being assessed on. So it's very thorough, very, very great program. We also have the Digital Literacy Toolkit. This was developed out of our TCAL Center, and it is a collection of videos and such lessons. There'll be a session on it tomorrow morning. I have a next slide, but that's Gareth, and he'll be talking about that. So if you want to find out more about it comes with lesson plans and videos, and it's a great, thorough curriculum that you can implement. Go to that session. You'll learn a lot and how you can use it. And then Google Applied Digital Skills. These are, again, tools that students can use on their own, and of course they could use in the classroom with the instructors. But you can be giving them these resources, and this resource can come from anyone in your program so that they can get referred to what they need. And then we talked about typing.com a little bit earlier. Next slide, please. Also, we're talking about upskilling our staff, right? So we're moving the needle for everyone. You are all invited to DLTI. This is the Distance Learning and Technology Integration Symposium. I told you I'm gonna get all the acronyms wrong today. And it is a free hybrid conference. It's May 15th and 16th. So if you want to come on down to Texas, please join us. But if not, you can be online. We have great speakers, great sessions, and it's not just for instructors, it's for everyone, because that role is for everyone to support the students in their digital literacy. So the registration, it is hyperlinked if you're in the Wayground, but you can register, and we'd love to have you join us and tell your peers as well. That's your takeaway. So your last activity in your Wayground is to share your one takeaway, what you're going to do next to move your needle or to move your indicator up one. So if you came in at a 2, what steps are you going to take to move yourself to a 3, or from a 3 to a 4, or on up to 5? Will you show responses, Ashley? Sorry. Thank you. Great. Sign up for DLTI. I love that. We love that. Use the resources from Yes to integrate them. Yes. More resources. Encouraging to, and you're going to have to teach the students to use North Star too. I mean, these are all skills that we have to teach our students. And so integrating that from beginning to end, and everybody can have a hand in helping them navigate emails or remember passwords, things like that. Working within the curriculum design. Yes. Helping students manage passwords and yes, email boxes. Thank you. So glad you could take something with you, spark an idea, talk to your programs about how you can increase and unify your efforts to build those digital literacy skills in every role and having support in that. And with that, I thank you all for coming this morning, Monday morning, first session. We did it. I will post the links to those resources in the chat, in the Hoover app. So even after this session, if you forget or we need to get back to any of those links or the resources, I'll have that in there for you guys. Feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions too. I'm in the Hoover app. Thank you.